Assalamu alaikum everyone. I am Manahil Rimorjawali. I am from Karachi, Pakistan. Today it's my pleasure to introduce our very special guest, someone who has a significant impact in the field. His name is Matt, a name well recognized and respected in our community. Matt comes from the charming town of Street, Somrest, and has wealth of experience and insights to share with us. Today we are not just going to talk about his professional achievement, but also delve into his personal journey, his life, some rest, and patience at that drive him. So, without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Matt and begin our journey to understanding the man behind the success. So, welcome, sir. How are you?
Hi, yeah, thank you for having me on. Uh, Good to be here and see the projects that you're doing. Hopefully, I can share some good insights. Um, yeah, so how would you like to? Are you going to have some questions, or would you just like me to introduce a little bit about myself?
Yeah. First, before moving on, question, you can introduce yourself for my viewers.
Okay, hi there. So I'm Matt Quinn. I'm from the UK. Um, Most of my life, I've kind of been self-employed, freelance. Originally, I started off kind of in the fitness industry before moving to kind of WordPress and SEO stuff, which is kind of what brought me to what I do now. And then I've kind of gone from that stage to owning an agency, which I'm kind of in the stage of growing and scaling myself now. I'm mainly focused in the aesthetic beauty sector. And with that, we're kind of bringing in I don't know if you guys are familiar with like Go High Level and kind of UpX and the automation, so kind of bigger offerings to give to our clients. So that's kind of what I do and where I'm sort of working at now.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your introduction. So now let's move on to questions. My first question is on your screen. What inspired you to start your own business, and how has your experience in street commerce influenced your business approach?
Okay, so I think really the inspiration to do my own business is just the independence, really. I've always kind of wanted to do my own thing, being that sort of find my own route in life, not really working for a company or building someone else's dream. So that's kind of where I started off as a freelancer, and then gradually as I gained skills, I've kind of grown that. And then I also think from being a business person or an entrepreneur, you're kind of uncapped in where you can go, and you're always kind of learning and challenging yourself. So no day's really the same, and it can be quite challenging. It's never a straight path forward, but I think it's very rewarding. And at the end, from Street Somerset. So I actually, because most of what I do is online, I work like a lot with sort of US companies. I've got some customers in sort of EU, Ireland, and that as well. So I actually do a lot of my work from the laptop, similar. So I don't actually get out in street as much. Um, you have from the UK side of it, you kind of have the local community approach. Obviously, we work in the UK environment, so you're kind of influenced in UK clients as well. So even though I might not see them in street exactly, there's that. There's certain expectations. There's quite the UK market, particularly, has quite high standards and stuff. Um, Particularly with like websites, stuff has to be very double checked and go through quite rigorous stuff before you can just kind of put it on their website and start changing. They're very brand conscious as sort of independent businesses. So that's kind of one of the key things you have to be aware of. Um, and sometimes, particularly like my background's SEO, so some things that are good for SEO aren't always good for the customer's brand. So you have to kind of understand how to balance those things and kind of get the best of both worlds and ultimately get them the kind of sales and leads they want while maintaining the image they want to get amongst their customer. Um, and then I think obviously, again, not really to Street Somerset, but we all kind of experienced COVID a few years ago, which was kind of when I first started my agency. So that obviously influenced quite a lot of the way I kind of work now and kind of brought me very much to the sort of the laptop lifestyle. The teams I kind of work with are very much on like a VA basis, set up multi sort of national as well with the teams. So I kind of have staff and VAs from different countries as well, which I think now, the world's global. I think it's not really local in terms of work, and there's different skill sets everywhere. And I think kind of combining that is the good way going forward.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. Can you mute your mic? Okay. So now let's move on to the next question. My next question is on your screen. Could you describe a challenge you face as a business owner and how you overcome it?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges I faced was when first starting my agency, going from a freelance business to a business where I kind of employed staff, and there's a lot more responsibility with that in terms of having the cash flow. You have to be able to pay people's wages. Sometimes if you haven't got the sales that month, you still need to pay everyone's wages. You need to make sure your team's okay. So that was definitely one of the biggest additional pressures that I had going from freelancer where it was just me. So as long as I made money, if it was down one month, it didn't matter. Once you're kind of in the agency environment and you take on more commitments, there's a lot more pressure to perform. If you don't make, your minimum as you grow, if you have a few good months, and then suddenly it dries up for a month, you've got to make sure you've got the finances there to keep everything paid. You've got to be very much more aware of seasonal differences. So for instance, we're coming up to Christmas and December. So typically in Google ads and stuff, a lot of the sectors I work with will cut back their budgets and pay, which means stuff will reduce in terms of our cash flow. So you kind of got to make sure in the good months, you're keeping stuff stored, to balance it. And I think that is definitely watch the finances and kind of don't overspend when you're making good money. Kind of make that nest egg and plan for the long term would be the biggest challenge and the biggest advice I think to anyone going that route.
All right, sir. Great. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So my next question is on your screen. How do you balance the demands of being a business owner with your personal life in street summers?
Yeah, I mean that's a tough one. I think when you kind of become a business owner or entrepreneur, that very much does become your life. That's one of the although you get the advantage of sort of being in charge, you don't kind of work a strict 9 to 5. Recently, I've kind of got a little bit better with that on the kind of management, so I try and keep the weekend times as free as possible. But you've also got, particularly in the sector I work in with, where we're kind of looking after people's websites and you're kind of almost a business partner. You're a very first point of call. So if something does go wrong, you're the one who will get the kind of phone call to help. So you have to kind of manage that. And I've learned to manage that a little bit more over time. But yeah, I think the biggest thing I've probably learned more over the 6 months and putting in is just be really strict with the calendar, have everything scheduled in, even if it is family time, kind of almost put that in and block it in that, okay, on this day, even if it's just one day a week that you're kind of going to come away from doing the work and spend it with your family, your partner or whatever, have that scheduled in, and then it kind of doesn't get pushed to the back, where if you kind of just take stuff as it comes in business, I think you can quickly kind of push those sort of things to the side. So yeah, schedule, plan, and kind of make time for yourself and kind of actively schedule it.
Okay, all right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So my next question is, how do you balance the demand of being a business with your personal life? Personal life in street summers. I think I asked this question. No.
Yeah, that's the same
Okay.
questions come up again. No worries.
So my next question is, what unique opportunities or advantages do you find running a business?
I think you get a lot more chance again to sort of learn different things. Working with the new challenges, they do push you. It's not easy, but as you overcome them, even if it's not perfectly, you kind of move forward, you learn stuff, you're better equipped. You get to work with a bigger range of people. Over the last few years, I've worked with businesses I didn't even know existed at first, or didn't even know that like was a sector. For instance, even going into the aesthetic and business and beauty sector that I've done now as the main group that I assist. 3 or 4 years ago, I kind of didn't even know anyone in that world, and that I wouldn't have made those connections and that network had I not kind of taken on a particular customer and then gradually sort of grown and being introduced to them. So I think it just opens more doors, opens more opportunities. I think it always, pushes you to improve, which is just in life just going to be helpful. And as long as you take those advantages and kind of move forward positively, it's just going to help you grow as a person.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So my next question is, what are your aspiration or future plans for your business?
So my plans are quite big, and that I'm very much focused now on the agency and the aesthetic niche that I'm growing out. I'm actually in the middle of I'm just rolling out a talk show and my own Facebook group, kind of similar to this, to speak with more of my target market, very much become a sort of more front-facing influencer almost style within that niche, working with kind of the higher brands, and then I'm looking to kind of grow. As I mentioned, I don't know if any of your audience are familiar with Go High Level and more sort of SaaS stuff. So I'm going to bring that into my agency and put that more as a ground level, almost membership agency style. So it's more sticky for the customers to essentially have everything they need at the base level, and that will eliminate some of the churn that you get from services. So yeah, hopefully over the next 12 months, I'm looking to kind of grow it to a 7-figure agency. So yeah, feel free to check back in 12 months and see how well we've done on that. I'm sure there'll be challenges on the way, but yeah, I think it's going to be a good year, 2024.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, how did you identify the market need for your business, and what step did you take to address it?
So largely just through learning and trial and error, working with, all businesses need marketing, SEO. So I think the important thing with that is I started as a very general person helping all like local businesses. I think if you're going into this sort of work, find a niche, find a very particular market to help, and you're kind of going to do better and grow faster. So really, it's just listening to the customer, finding their pain points, finding that solution. I think one of the biggest things that I've identified now and kind of where I'm positioning my growth plan is with all the sort of AI and the tools stuff. One, it's lowered kind of the cost and the access. So you've got a lot of the customer base now trying to do things themselves, but they don't really have the knowledge how to use it effectively, which they kind of need more guidance, and they need sort of help if they're going to use those cheaper tools in actually putting them in place, and having it like, don't just go and use ChatGPT and ask it without actually knowing or understanding what you're doing. So I think by putting those frameworks and education in place for the customer, we can make my company more valuable and kind of value first, and then following on from that, when the companies who are ready for the higher ticket services will kind of know, like, and trust the company ready.
Yes, sir. Great answer, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. My next question is, how do you approach competition in your industry, and what makes your business stand out?
I think I generally approach competition positively. I think competition's a good a thing to have. If you've got a lot of people competing in the same industry, it normally means there's a good market there. There's good room for growth. So I will kind of I'll take ideas quite openly off my competitors, and I'll try and combine bits with my own sort of knowledge or other stuff and improve on that. I think I try and make to stand out. I think like customer service and almost like a concierge service at the sort of forefront. I think it's kind of getting that customer, especially when I work with small like local businesses, they kind of like to know at least the front end, who they're dealing with, who they're speaking to, and kind of have almost that personal relationship. So even though I might not be doing all the tasks individually, all my customers can sort of contact me. They can message me on Facebook. That's kind of where I do my sort of figurehead business from, so they can all kind of contact me in Messenger if anything's up and always get that personal contact. And I think that kind of helps with the personal trust, kind of puts you a little bit different from the bigger brands, which again, when you're working with local businesses, I think they kind of like and appreciate.
All right. Great, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So my next question is, can you share your experience? Share an experience where you had to pivot or significantly alter your business model.
Yeah, I think really in my first run up to the agency, uh, which I did kind of start just at the start of COVID, and a bit what I alluded to earlier, I kind of made a few mistakes in terms of taking on too many expenses, taking on too many staff, before we actually had the income and the sustainability to run it. And then partly with COVID kind of hitting when that run, it ruined the plans a little bit. So I actually leaned down completely from that, and that's kind of the pivot I'm at now. So I kind of went from freelance to agency, skimmed back down to freelance, but kept all my agency kind of contacts and systems of delivery, retained the majority of the customers. And now I've kind of repositioned. I'm kind of in that pivot stage where, like I say, I'm combining almost a membership model with an agency where there's going to be a lot more support, training, and kind of that value at the front help for the customers on top of the services. And I think that'll, just give them more community and more stickiness. So yeah, I'm kind of in the pivot at the moment going forward.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, in terms of customer engagement and satisfaction, what practices do you believe are most effective?
Yeah, first and foremost, I think just good communication with your customers. I think they like to know what's going on. I think honesty. So even if give them realistic aims, don't oversell. It's better to sort of give them lower expectations and over deliver on them. Regular communication. So even if you're kind of doing monthly, work, have those little touch points every Friday. Have a little email that goes to them, even if it hasn't done much. It's just they're giving you money. It kind of shows that you're thinking about them. There is stuff going on. Yeah, I think that's the main thing, having that contact and just undersell what you're going to do and over deliver on the results, and always kind of be upfront of that. I think if stuff's going wrong, particularly in marketing, you're not every ad campaign is going to go well. There'll be some months that are sort of bad, so I think you just have to sort of manage the expectations, look at where stuff can be improved, and kind of always communicate that. And I think the communication with the client is what is key in keeping them to the long term and making sure they continue sort of to trust and work with you.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. My next question is, what role has technology played in the growth and efficiency of your business?
Yeah, a lot more, and especially over the last sort of couple, 2, 3 years. I've sort of mentioned Go High Level a lot of the time, and that's kind of now become the foundation of my business. And that, for those who don't know, it's like a all-in-one automation software system, which agencies can use, and they're allowed to use it at quite a low cost, and then build up sort of systems on top of that. And that includes stuff like automated follow-up, automations that you can build out for the client. And these are normally areas which local clients especially are quite weak on, not good on. So even though if you're doing services like Google Ads, SEO, really all that does is drive traffic and leads to the client. If they haven't got the systems in place to sort of close those leads or to follow up on them, even if you're doing a good job on those, it can kind of not reflect on the other side. So I think by having that technology and being able to place it for the client, for yourself, basically makes your results better for the client. It makes it easier for them. If they're doing something like the aesthetic stuff, so they'll be doing permanent makeup, for instance. They don't really want to be. They're not trained as salespeople. They don't necessarily want to be getting on the phone every time. They just want to do what they're good at, which is the permanent makeup. So if you can put systems in that can like automate the text, automate the email, and kind of minimize what they have to do in terms of following up leads, it just makes the whole system easier. It makes you as a company look better. Frees up their time. So yeah, that's automation software, I think, is key to every business at the moment.
All right, that's awesome. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, my next question is how do you foster innovation and creativity within your business?
I think that's just really keeping up with trends, seeing what's kind of going on, not necessarily just blindly following, but seeing how you can adapt them and bring them in at the right time. Um, Understanding how they're going to impact your customers' view as well. So like I've kind of mentioned the AI, customers now are going to be like, oh, why can't I just use ChatGPT to do my SEO? You kind of need to explain why it's not necessarily that simple, and then put in things where okay, you can, but you kind of need this as well. Combine them. I think the other thing as well is kind of listen to your team and the people you work with on the ground, take their sort of ideas in, because even they might not see things on the bigger scale, on the how things work on a day to day. They probably have more insight than me, and that feedback is very important. And if I can kind of take that off a few of my people that I work with and customers as well, I think it's your job as a sort of entrepreneur and a business owner to kind of combine those together and then use that to feed your creative solutions and ways going forward.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for your answer. So, my next question is can you discuss a significant challenge your business has faced and how you overcome it?
I think the biggest challenge in my space is really, again, although competition is good, just the sheer amount of it, especially like post-COVID, where a lot of people with agency sort of work is very easy to start up. So there's a lot of kind of overnight agencies, a lot of people selling the same thing, so it's very hard to sort of stand out from the noise going around. And I think that's partly where it's important, as I said earlier, to kind of pick a niche and become known in that sector and niche rather than we just sell digital marketing services. So I think that's kind of the challenge that I made the mistake at the beginning. I just sort of sold services and tried to make everyone a client in the local area, and with that you kind of just don't really stand out. So yeah, since then it's kind of picking that niche, becoming the most relevant person to them, making sure you have stuff that can help them and kind of provide value, and that's kind of what's going to stand you out from the others who are just selling similar services.
Okay, great. So, how do you stay motivated, maintain a work life balance as a business owner?
I think, yeah, I mean, work-life balance, I've got a little bit better on again with the scheduling. So I do, as well as work, I do gym regularly. So I kind of make sure I can put that in the schedule. And then obviously family and stuff at the weekend. I think, yeah, it's just prioritizing it. You sometimes have, again, as the business owner, everything falls on you. So that is quite difficult to, maintain. And I have done the, working 7 days and not really having a day off. So yeah, I think just scheduling and just making it a commitment, understanding as well, I think, which I've kind of again probably learned over the last 12 months or so, that you can be more effective working shorter times than longer times. Sometimes we can kind of get busy being busy. So although you're doing like a 10-hour day, are you really working those 10 hours? Are you being effective? So again, that comes back to the scheduling where, actually know if you just time block the 4 or 5 hours and make sure you're really being effective with your time, you can actually better chances of freeing up time at the end of the week. So yeah, proper time management is the key.
All right, great. So, lastly, what advice would you give to aspiring entrepreneurs who wish to enter your industry?
Learn sales and marketing first. That would be the mistake. I learned WordPress, SEO as being able to do those skills and kind of built out from doing that to an agency. I think some of the most successful ones don't necessarily know how to do that so well, but they understand the skills of actually marketing and sales, so they can kind of sign on customers at a quicker rate. And then it's easier if you're looking at managing an agency. Those skills of managing people and bringing in a fulfillment team is kind of easier. So it's not necessarily the best SEO or the best website builder who's going to build the best, company. It's the person who can kind of get that message out to the biggest amount of people in a convincing way. Now you still need to be able to deliver the service well to maintain the customers. But certainly as a growth, I wouldn't say if you're looking at running an agency, I'd look and make sure you understand this kind of systems, marketing and sales, and have them as a strong part of what you understand, rather than just learning SEO and becoming the best SEO.
All right, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for giving me your precious time. So, as we come to the end of engaging conversation with Mr. Matt, I'd like to express my heartfelt gratitude for uh, the insight and stories he has shared with us today. It's been a journey full of inspiration, learning, and personal reflection that I am sure have resonated with many of us. So, Mr. Matt, thank you for taking the time to join us, being so open and candid about your life experience. Your journey is testament the power of dedication, hard work, and the importance of community. To our audience, thank you for tuning in and being a part of this enlightening session. I hope conversation has left you with valuable takeaways and new perspectives. So from Karachi, Pakistan, this is Manahil Rimorja Wali signing off. Stay curious, stay inspired, and thank you so much, sir, again. Bye. Have a
Thank you.
wonderful day ahead.
Bye. Thank you for having me.